right, welcome back, folks, to IMSH 2023's Press Box. My name's Lance. I'm the founder CEO of HealthySimulation.com. So excited to be here having conversations and media interviews with SSH leadership, key vendors within the space, and experts in the field to learn more about some of the things going on with the organization and the event here today at IMSH 2023, or the International Meeting for Simulation in Healthcare. I'm sitting next to Neil Weber. Thank you so much for joining us. He's the president of North America for Laerdal, and so obviously a big supporter of the things that are taking place here, which I've heard is the largest attended, most attended IMSH ever, 4,200 attendees, and I think something like 140 exhibitors. So clearly folks are ready to come back from post-COVID, come together and connect and network with peers, so we're so excited about that. So I'd love to learn first about, hey, what's new with Laerdal here at IMSH 2023?
Well, thank you, Lance. It is fantastic. It is just amazing to be back. It's such a highly attended conference and the energy is palpable. So I'll mention a couple things that are new at Laerdal. Number one, we're featuring in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion, a broad range of our nursing and simulator mannequin in different representations of race and culture, right? So I think that's a very important trend in the industry that we are very proud to be a part of.
Good.
Second thing I'll feature is our virtual clinicals, virtual reality solution that we are proud to be releasing this year.
Yeah.
And it's focused on clinical decision making for the nurse and really working on the skills that a nurse is going to need in practice when they're on a floor and they have to make decisions, not just about one patient, but about multiple patients that they're responsible for and how to essentially juggle those patients.
Okay, so prioritization of kind of better understanding, which patient we need to be working on right now or in this moment, which I know definitely at the Clinical Simulation Center of Las Vegas, where I was the director a long time ago, that was one of the key things that actually the deans and the faculty were concerned about, because it was quite difficult to run multiple mannequins with multiple rooms at the same time because the demand was so high for the space, and so it was something tricky to do. So I think it makes perfect sense that we could use something like virtual reality to create a digital environment where, hey, you have multiple patients that you need to be concerned about, especially in the nursing field. Now, in EMS, prioritization of care for MCIs, this was something that was part of our training, but I could clearly see that, sometimes that prioritization in the education is not explored as much because it's difficult to do, and so here Laerdal launching something like a virtual reality simulator for that.
We hear a lot from our customers that readiness to practice for graduating nurses is a crucial topic, and one of the key areas that needs to be addressed is how does a brand new nurse coming out of school deal with the reality of working on the floor of a hospital, right? So this hopefully will begin to address that challenge.
Absolutely, and lots of other new things going on with Laerdal, but let's focus on a little bit on trends. What industry trends do you see taking place or happening now, post-COVID 2023, that Laerdal wants to be ahead of or in support of out there?
Yeah, so there's two things. One I've started to mention already, right? It's this notion that there's this, secular trend in shortage of healthcare workers that we are all, trying to address in different ways. And what we see our role is in really helping schools think through how do we bring in and move nurses to a point of readiness to practice and verifying the competencies that they've developed so that they can go out into the community and feel confident in their skills. So that's a big trend that we see.
Right.
The second trend, I would say, shifting more toward the actual clinical side, is clearly there's been a lot made of the fact that hospitals are focused on the retention of their workforces, right? The acquisition, the recruiting, if you will, the development, orientation.
Big cost there to get started, especially if somebody wanted to quit, shortly thereafter. And I heard something crazy like 38% of new nurses quit the field within 2 years. So that's a big number with a lot of costs attached to it.
The cost to replace is significant. So in that realm, we have a lot that we're bringing to the table to help our clients think through the development of their staff into successful, highly engaged workforces. As one example to that, we are showing here at IMSH our managed service offering called Laerdal Accelerate.
This is incredible. This is something really exciting for the industry that I think is groundbreaking for us. So I'd love to learn more about it.
Yeah, so where this came from is our basic premise that we are here to help our customers achieve impact, ultimately impact and results and outcomes. So when we think through an educational or simulation activity, the goal has to be some type of a patient safety, outcome, or at least an educational outcome. So what we say to our clients is, tell us what you're trying to achieve from an educational standpoint. We will bring the right resources to bear.
Wow.
That includes equipment, that includes human capital, it can include content, any and all the above. We will show up on the day of your choosing. You just provide the staff. We will bring everything you need, and we will drive to the result that you're looking for, and then we will pack it all up and go home at the end of the day, and then you'll call us when you need us again.
Right, and if I'm not mistaken, I got a chance to tour it out, but you guys, you might come out as much as 6 weeks early, better identify what the curriculum needs are for that particular day, and at the end of the event, provide data, like a report card of all the things that were important or other things that you guys see in terms of recommendations or areas for improvement or suggestions, or just kind of, a data sheet that will help groups to be able to understand where they're at.
Right.
So tell me a little bit more about that. It really seems like you want to be able to provide a one-stop shop where folks don't have to necessarily worry about, hiring or training and designing buildings or, better understanding. Maybe this could be a great way for groups to get started in simulations, to demonstrate the value, right, or the opportunity for that, or for those groups that maybe they'd rather just get to work on the learning outcomes and a little bit less on, hey, it does take a lot to get simulation to succeed.
You got it. It's all about quality improvement, and we all know the saying, you can't improve without measuring. Right? So what we are offering as part of this service that I described is, at the end of the engagement, we provide you with the data that was generated from the actual training activity. And that data basically will show you how you compare to different benchmarks, whether you supply the benchmarks or whether we supply some standard benchmarks that we've collected. We have guidelines. In the case of obstetrics, we look at things like the ACOG guidelines, and we can show you where you are, at least to establish a baseline. And then what we find is the clients will say, okay, now we want to continue this program and see if we can improve in this particular area or that particular area.
Right.
So it's an ongoing process.
Right, to review, assess, and then continue to improve and bring you guys back for even more later on down the road. So let's move to remote digital technologies. I know we've talked a little bit about this, but specifically with regard to that domain, we have seen from our surveys out to the community that, hey, COVID really kind of brought remote distance-based learning technologies into clinical education and training programs, or just in time for COVID vaccination sites or testing sites, those types of things, but other things as well in terms of bringing simulation into these programs. And so, clinical campuses were closed, clinical rotations are shut down, and so people found a lot of success with remote distance-based learning technologies. I don't think this ever is going to replace mannequin. No, it's going to augment and complement the ability to kind of expand these things so that we can tend towards even better simulation experiences when we do all have to come together. But tell me a little bit about what Laerdal is really looking at in terms of remote distance post-COVID.
Sure, and we definitely have witnessed and participated in those trends, right? When sim centers had to shut down and pivot quickly to a remote operation, we were pleased to be able to support with a product that we've been proud of for many years called vSim, right? The key is we believe in a learner's journey, right? And you could talk about a journey in terms of competency building, you could talk about it in terms of time or geography, what have you. So we have vSim, which is very popular as a self-directed learning platform, which is of course utilized no matter where you are on the go, if you will. But in addition to that, what I would point to is our Sim Capture cloud system, which is really a system that can enable telesimulation, essentially. And that was actually highlighted in a couple of the webinars that took place during those scary days of the pandemic, right? Where hospitals and schools were coming together to figure out how do we continue operations, right? So the notion of telesimulation, we have a system with Sim Capture where you can have a faculty member in one location, learners distributed in different locations, and have a simulation that takes place over a virtual environment.
Awesome, and that really brings people together across geographic locations, and then it starts to enable, hey, we could do any type of training anywhere at any time with anyone by thinking about how we can bring these digital and remote technologies to bear. So finally, I just want to ask you, what do you see, Neil, as being maybe opportunities for the industry to come together and move this field forward? What do you think we might need to do to start kind of moving the industry even further post-COVID, where there was great acceleration, but obviously we got still a long way to go compared to, say, the aviation industry?
Yeah, this is this is a fantastic topic, and as a member of the corporate roundtable, I can tell you this has been a hot topic already this week. I would mention two things. One is just in the area of research in general, right? From my experience, we can really help advance the field of simulation if we can inspire and motivate our academic partners to continue to build the evidence base for how simulation impacts patient safety and ultimately saving lives, which of course, as you know, is core to Laerdal's mission. And the other area, which is related, is of course advocacy. And I think that's another topic that's been discussed this week, and I know from Laerdal's perspective, we are very excited to find ways that we can partner with the society and with our customers to advocate in the political process to say, hey, look, simulation works. We have a crisis in the healthcare system in terms of overworked clinicians, patients that don't always get the highest quality of care, right? And we don't have great objective ways to drive improvement. Simulation, as I just mentioned a few minutes ago, is a wonderful tool, not the only tool, but a wonderful tool to ultimately achieve those outcomes. But we have to tell that story.
Yeah, and it's part of the solutions that are going to help to move the needle, especially when now, hey, there's House Representative bills out there right now on the floor being considered for the development of a National Patient Safety Board. So much like an NTSB or the National Transportation Safety Board, this is going to be a federal level agency that's going to start to review and understand where we are with regards to patient safety. And of course, that's going to better explain, hey, we've got a problem with education and training, we've got a problem with regards to retention, we've got a problem with regards to the number of hours that we're having clinicians work, you know what I mean? In aviation, you have limits on all of these things because they've done the research and they know there's certain performance drop off at a time, and then they enforce, regulate, and mandate those requirements. And so, we need to start looking at all those things, and I think now's the best time to be doing that, especially with this new agency. Well, thank you so much for coming here, sitting down with us, and for all the support Laerdal's done for IMSH 2023, and as well, with healthysimulation.com. We're really excited to be showcasing more of these technologies, so keep visiting the website to learn more about all these new things that we talked about here and what's coming up on the year ahead. So thank you so much. Looking forward to more.
Thank you, Lance. Cheers. Wonderful to be with you.
We'll see you all the next one.